But 100 years ago, the hills behind this coastline were home to gangsters, smugglers, secret radio rooms, and fleets of boats running illegal liquor into New York City. And it all centered around one mansion right here in Middletown. This is the story of bootlegging, gangsters, and murder on the Jersey Shore. I'm your host, Scott Davis. Welcome to the Violent Coast.
They're lining up now.
It's about time, I say. The bay will take it.
Huzzah! Go on, lads! They're coming through! What a race! Huzzah! Go on, lads! Go, Lillian, go! Faster now! Lillian, give them the whip!
March 23rd, 1933, a man was found dead inside a mansion overlooking Sandy Hook, New Jersey. 2 bullets to the back of the head and 1 lodged in the neck. He was one of the most powerful bootleggers on the East Coast, and the people who killed him, well, they were never caught. It's crazy. I just live a few miles from where this happened. Most people think of the Jersey Shore as beaches, fishing, boats, and summer tourists. But 100 years ago, the hills behind this coastline were home to gangsters, smugglers, secret radio rooms, fleets of boats running illegal liquor to New York City. And it all centered around one mansion right here in Middletown, New Jersey. Middletown has a lot of history. Revolutionary War raids, smugglers, shipping, railroads, summer resorts. But right now, I'm just setting the stage. Because eventually something happened that those horse racing settlers would have probably absolutely hated. Prohibition, also known as the Volstead Act. This is where our story begins. And for some people involved, well, it's where it ended. Or maybe not. In January of 1920, the United States officially banned the production, transportation, and sale of alcohol. And that lasted until December 5th, 1933. 13 years. 13 years where alcohol was illegal in the United States. Now, if you know anything about Americans, you probably already see the problem with that plan. People didn't just decide to stop drinking. Instead, an entire black market appeared almost overnight. There were no online marketplaces back then, no Craigslist, no Facebook groups. If you wanted to drink, you had to know a guy who knew a guy who maybe knew another guy. Or you had to find one of the thousands of illegal bars known as speakeasies. And people absolutely did. Music was playing, the drinks were flowing, and the law was just trying to catch up.
Playing for lovers from near and far. Door swings open, wind rolls through, and there you are like you always do. Shelly in the back with a drink in hand, laughing with some slick talking man. You don't hear a word I sing, but I keep strumming anyway. Shelly, don't look my way tonight. Keep that love out of sight, like a bottle hid under a coat somewhere when the law comes climbing the stairs. Room full of hearts and cheap red wine. Everyone's having a better time. Glasses up and the band plays loud. Best little secret in this whole town.
You see, when you create a black market, you also create opportunity. Huge opportunity. Bootlegging, smuggling, and selling illegal alcohol became one of the most profitable businesses in America. Alcohol had to be made, shipped, stored, protected, and distributed. Every step of that process meant money. And we're not talking a little money here. Nah. We're talking about insane amounts of money. The kind of money that attracts people who are willing to do almost anything to get it. Now, let me be clear about something. The bootleggers weren't evil because they were giving people alcohol. That part, honestly, it just sounds like a public service. The problem was what came with the business. Things like violence, extortion, kidnapping, and maybe, worst of all, murder. Which brings us to a detail I want you to remember. 2 bullets to the back of the head and 1 in the neck. Keep that in mind, but not like 2 bullets in your brain, in the back of your mind. Let's talk about real gangsters. Not the ones from old Hollywood movies where the cops always win in the end. No, I mean the real ones. The kind with secret radios, armored cars, fleets of boats, and enough money to build an entire criminal empire. Sometimes the police did catch them. Sometimes rival gangs got there first. And sometimes the truth about what happened never fully comes out. The Jersey Shore today is a pretty safe place to live. But if you go back about 100 years, this coastline had a very different reputation. Bootleggers, smugglers, shootouts, and what's all that without a little bit of corruption, am I right? Probably a lot, to be honest.
Moonlight on the Black Bay water, engines rumble, running harder, crates of whiskey in the hold, cold wind cutting through the cold.
This is the Coast Guard.
Trumpets wailing, smoky rooms, cards and cash and cheap perfume, radio crackles, signal clear, run the rum boys, tide is near, yeah, the Coast Guard on the line, sirens cutting through the brine, hide the bottles, kill the light, bootleg hearts are built to fight, bootleg fire on the violent coast, engines screaming through the midnight ghost, have the whiskey boys, the lost too close, raise your glass to the violent coast, trumpets crying and the sirens roar, crates of bourbon sliding across the floor, run the rum to the Jersey Shore, no one sleeps on the violent coast.
Let's also talk about a massive underground economy moving alcohol into New York City. At the center of one of the biggest operations in the region was a man named Alexander Al Lillian. Al Lillian lived in a large mansion in the hills overlooking Sandy Hook Bay, in what is now the Navesink section of Middletown near Atlantic Highlands. The house had once belonged to a very different kind of celebrity. His name? Oscar Hammerstein Sr. Not the famous Broadway lyricist. That actually was his grandson. The original Oscar Hammerstein was a German-born cigar maker who became one of the most influential theater impresarios in New York. Yeah, I struggled on that one a couple times. He built opera houses, theaters, and helped popularize grand opera in America. But eventually the property changed hands, and by the late 1920s it had become the headquarters for a major bootlegging operation. Al Lillian and his brother William ran what newspapers of the time described as a massive smuggling ring network that stretched from Canada all the way down to Virginia. Liquor was coming down from Canada, rum was coming up from the Caribbean, and the Jersey Shore was one of the perfect places to move it into New York City. Fast boats could cross the bay in just a few hours, and once the liquor reached land, it could disappear into warehouses, trucks, speakeasies all over the city. According to reports from the time, Lillian's mansion was more than just a house. It was basically a command center. Federal agents who raided the property in 1929 found powerful radio equipment, weapons, and evidence linking the location to a large smuggling network. Stories about the house grew over time. Some accounts say there were lookout points and signal lights visible from the water. Others claimed there were hidden storage areas and underground vaults used to stash the liquor. And like most Prohibition stories, the details start to blur between documented history and local legend. But one thing is certain. This place was important enough that when federal agents launched a massive raid against Lillian's operation, the mansion was one of their primary targets. bootlegging wasn't just about moving liquor. It was about control. Like, who controlled the docks, who controlled the boats, and who controlled the routes. And when that much money is involved, people start dying. Before long, Lillian was connected to other major bootlegging figures along the East Coast. Some were allies, some were rivals, and some were both. One associate, a Boston underworld figure, sometimes called Boston Charlie, was reportedly murdered shortly before he was supposed to testify before a grand jury about smuggling operations. Stories from the time also claim there were kidnappings, ransom payments, and shifting alliances between different liquor syndicates. But like a lot of Prohibition history, the truth is buried somewhere between the police reports, newspaper headlines, and organized crime mythology. And eventually, the violence that surrounded the bootlegging business caught up with Alexander Lillian himself. On March 23, 1933, Lillian was found murdered inside his own mansion. He had been shot 2 times in the head and once in the neck. The killers were never identified, and the case was never solved.
The sirens scream, but the door stays shut. The cops outside, but the bar stays cut. Every crew wants a piece of the town.
But that's where the story really starts to get interesting. Because if Lillian's mansion was the headquarters, then the real action happened down below along the shoreline in the small bay town of Atlantic Highlands. That's where the boats came in.
Every gang wants another man down. Fight the law, break the chain. Blood on the floor and whiskey stains. Hear that name when the night goes long. It's the legend of the Alexander Lillian gang.
I didn't quite expect to find anything up here, and I still don't, because this place got changed a lot since the house burned down in 1977. I'm sure the radio tower wasn't here and the adjacent neighborhood wasn't here either. So what's left is probably just things that are junk and been discarded here. But there is something that we can look for. And if you're saying, Scott, what about the ghost of Al Lillian? Well, then you're thinking like me, and that's what we're gonna do. Right now, I'm standing in proximation to where the Alexander Lillian mansion was. Actually, let's call it his hideout, because that's what it was. Tucked away up here in the hills of Middletown, Atlantic Highlands area, looking over the bay, watching his empire from the hill, like a true king would. That's where we are right now. It's in approximation to this radio tower that's behind me, which, again, this is a good spot for a radio tower because it can broadcast far and wide. Just like Al Lillian did with his secret radio room that was inside of his mansion. He controlled everything, boats, cars, airplanes, and people from right here. So what we're gonna do today is we're going to use our Ghost Tube Vox on our phone to see if Al Lillian has anything to say about his demise. Maybe we'll learn who actually murdered this guy. I don't know, but we're gonna find out. Okay, so as soon as I turned this on, we started getting some action. So, Al Lillian, my name is Scott, and I'm here looking for answers. I don't know if you're still up here or if you've moved on, but there was a horrific murder, and you were the one who lost their life. So, if you're still up here in these hills, wandering around, this is your opportunity to come up and say hello. Alexander Lillian, are you here?
Of using the content.
Maybe something about a thumbtack? Alexander Lillian, if you're up here, can you tell me something about yourself? Can you tell me, how did you die? Alexander Lillian, if you're up here, can you tell me in the manner of which you were murdered?
Legal advice.
Legal advice. Somebody just said legal advice. So if you don't know, I'm also a police officer, and I don't know that Al Lillian would actually want to talk to me. But Al, you can get legal advice, but I promise you, you can't be prosecuted from beyond, at least not by us. So I'm here. I just want to know more about your story. Do you know who killed you? Do you know who murdered you? Said, okay. Al. I hope it's okay that I can call you Al. I feel like I've gotten to know you in the last couple weeks. Al, can you tell me how you were murdered? I don't know what that said, but it was very interesting sounding. Al, can you tell me the manner in which you were murdered?
Lillian.
We'll have to go back and review the evidence, but while you're watching this, if you hear something, please tell me.
E5.
Okay. Can you tell me the manner in which you were killed?
Part of the shot.
Maybe it said part of the shot, which kind of makes sense. Let me know what you think that said down in the comments.
Decline.
Decline? Okay. That kind of fits the story. But how did you get killed? What happened to end your life?
980.
Can you give me one word, Al, as to how you died that would match so we know that you're talking to you? I went? Okay. Can you finish the sentence? There's another word there. I need my detectives out there to listen and write what you hear. All right, I don't know if he's going to be able to talk to us, so let's do this. I'm here, it said. I'm here. Okay, Al, I hear you. I hear that you're here. I'm using a device in my hand. It's like a telephone or a radio, and spirits, ghosts, people who have passed can talk through this so we can hear them. I also can feel, see, and hear you, so if you want to let yourself be known to me, that's great. But I'd really love if you can use this device. Al, what business were you in? Can you tell me? You're going to jail, it said. Okay, that is not the business you were in, but it's certainly what would happen because of the business you were in. Oh, I'm starting to get the chills now. Okay, I feel like there is somebody approaching me. It's a mild 45 degrees out here, and I'm starting to get the goosebumps, like something is walking up to me. Let me know what you guys are feeling in the comments. Are you feeling anybody approaching me? If so, what do they look like, and how do they feel? Let me know. Al, is that you or one of your henchmen coming up to speak with me?
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, buddy. Okay. So, Sam? I don't know if there was a Sam involved. We'll look. Are any of your associates here with you? Are there people still protecting this property?
Bro, 6.
Okay. Alexander Lillian, if you're here talking with us, what is a message you would like us to give out to the world in the year 2026? That was weird. I heard something here, but then it sounded like something came from behind the camera that way at the same time. Alexander Lillian, would you be happy if I brought you a bottle of alcohol? Would you like to talk then? No, that was certainly a response. Al, I'd be happy to bring you up a bottle of liquor. If you can tell me what's your favorite alcohol, I will bring you a bottle. I don't know what that said. Al, if you can say nice and loud your favorite kind of alcohol, I'll bring it up to you.
I think you'd see.
I think you'd see. It feels like it's saying, just by that statement, that if I bring alcohol up here, that maybe we can appease the spirits. So maybe we should come back and do this at nighttime and see if we can get the spirits to be a little bit more interactive, and we'll bring them a peace offering. Let's do that. As promised, I am back out here. It is nighttime, and something I wasn't counting on is it started to rain, which isn't cool. So we're gonna see if Mr. Alexander Lillian has anything to say to us. It's pretty scary. Let's see if we can get a shot of that tower here in the dark. There you go. So you can see that we're in that same area. And we'll go ahead and see if we can get into kind of the same spot that we were in the last time we were here, which seems to be right over here. And we're gonna go ahead and get in there and just be careful. All right, let's go. Okay, so we are hanging out here back in the woods. This is our Mel meter, and people think that when these numbers go up, there's a chance that there are spirits there. Sometimes I've had that experience where I do believe that this number is matching something that is happening that is unexplainable, supernatural, or paranormal in the area. But we're up here to check out Al Lillian. So let's see if we can get any. I said Al Lillian, and it jumped up to a 3.2. Al, if you're out here, my name is Scott. I was here recently, and I said that if you could help me out, I would come back and I would bring you some alcohol. Do you remember that? And if you do, can you make the numbers on this little orange meter here go up? Now, I don't know what the baseline should be here, but there's no electricity where I'm standing. The only thing that is here is the radio tower, which, you know, it could be sending off some of this EMF, I assume. It does sound like there are people walking through this woods, though. All right, so what we're going to do is this. I'm going to turn this off for now, and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys. I brought Al some local, this is local here in New Jersey, and we're going to talk about Laird's in another episode, but Laird's is local here in New Jersey, and it's operating. Laird's has been operating for hundreds of years, family-owned business, I think, and it's just been around. So at every turn of the Violent Coast here in New Jersey, Laird's has been there. And I'm sure that they had something going on during the Prohibition era, which we'll check out. So for my friend Al, again, Al, I brought you this. It is gin, and it's local, so I hope it's something that you like. I'm going to turn on my device again, Al. This other thing that we tried to use last time, and hopefully you'll be able to communicate with us, and I'll pour some out for you, buddy. As a matter of fact, to get the ritual going, before I even get this going, we'll pour one out for Al, okay? I'm not gonna have any, I'm driving, but that doesn't stop us from helping Al out. So Al, this is for you and your buddies. You guys can see. There you go, we're pouring a little gin out for my boy. Okay, Al, that's for you, my friend. Smells like Prohibition gin, I'll tell you that. Al, when I was here, Court of Public. Al, when I was here earlier, I said that I would bring you some alcohol in exchange for some information. So I was hoping that you and I, if you're up here, Alexander Lillian, if you could say hello to me and talk to me. So Al, Alexander Lillian, the famous, infamous bootlegging gangster of the Jersey Shore. Can you tell me, how did you pass away? That was terrifying sounding. Alexander Lillian or any of his associates, Tommy Two Guns, if you're up here, if you're protecting the property, could you please come and say hello to us? We're, te- we're telling your story of how you rose up against the law during Prohibition and built an empire. We'd really love to hear your side of things. Can you tell us something? All right, so that doesn't seem to be eliciting any kind of response. So let's do this. Alexander Lillian, can you tell me how you were killed? I'm looking to speak with Alexander Lillian. Can you tell me how you died?
On Earth.
Alexander Lillian, can you tell me who shot you? Alexander Lillian, can you tell me the name of the person who murdered you? That was something. Alexander Lillian, can you tell me the first or last name of the person who murdered you? It's very interesting that they're being so quiet right now. It's interesting because when we were here the first time during the day, we were getting a lot more responses, which I thought we would get even more at nighttime. But it seems like maybe they're underground or they're off doing something. Aside from Alexander Lillian, are there any other people here in this space that would like to say hello? Harry? Is that your name? I heard something. Can you come forward to me? I can't hurt you, and I won't hurt you. My name is Scott, and I'm just looking to speak with anybody who has any knowledge of the Oscar Hammerstein mansion that was up here. Maybe Oscar Hammerstein himself could come back and visit here as a spirit. It's a whopping... Oh, interesting. It's a whopping 44 degrees out here and chilly. A little bit of rain happening. Maybe that's keeping the ghosts away. Is there anybody up here that would like to say hello? Numb? Okay. There's a lot of scary noises happening behind me. I don't know if it's just the wind banging the trees together, but I don't know if I'm going to stick around that long to find out what it is.
You just can't. How tough?
Yeah, who are you?
In a Philly.
They're in Philly? Oh, now we're getting a lot of people. Hello? And I'm literally getting the chills. Like, not because I'm cold, but like, you know the chills you get when you're alone and something's happening? Those are the kind of chills I'm getting.
And
Is there any chance any of you can just get really close and scream into this device and see if you can make a noise? Okay, that was pretty good.
Are they?
So we've heard a female come through a couple times. Are there any ladies here that would like to say hello?
I used to go to home.
That was an interesting sound. Almost sounded like I said hello. Hello, how are you? My name is Scott. What is yours?
Plane.
It's nice to meet you. Do you know anything about the hidden rooms in the mansion here? Can you give me
Just create.
can you give me information on the bulletproof room that I heard about?
You see that?
I don't see anything. That's why I'm asking. Can you tell me about the secret radio room?
Across the board.
Can you tell me how to avoid the Coast Guard if I want to run liquor from here to Manhattan? What if I needed to get in touch with Bill McCoy? How would I do that? Oh, that was creepy. Does somebody here know Bill McCoy? Legend has it that Bill McCoy would never water his whiskey down. And that's where the term the real McCoy came from. He commanded hundreds of ships off of the coast of New Jersey on what was called Rum Row. And that's right over my shoulder here. Just 3 miles out to sea. And that's where the ships would anchor, free from the United States and the Volstead Act. And basically, Bill McCoy would take people and liquor back and forth from the ships to the Jersey Shore. Can you guys tell me how to get in touch with Bill McCoy? Because I really am in need of a good time.
Pictures.
Pictures? What's the picture I'd be looking for if I needed to find Bill?
Conversation.
Have a conversation, okay. Yeah, I'm having one. Where should I go to find Bill and order some liquor?
Event.
Is there a special spot in town that I should go, or a ship I should look for, or a boat?
Early forward.
Sounded like it said 4-4. I don't know what that means or if it has any reference, but we'll find out.
Corrections.
Corrections? Okay. What other important information should I have going forward while I'm looking for more spirits from the era of Prohibition here on the violent coast of New Jersey? Is there anything else I should know? As the wind creepily picks up.
In. Face more.
Face war.
Hello.
Oh. Are any of the people that lived in the mansion while it was a senior center here? Is there a place that I should look to find remnants of the mansion? Can I come back up here and dig?
Wait up, man.
Wait a minute. Yeah, I want to dig. I want to start looking into the land. What do you guys think about that? Will I find any bodies buried here on the property?
Never did what you can.
Oh, now we're getting somewhere. Are there bodies up here associated with Alexander Lillian and his operation?
Could be.
Could be. Is there any place in the area that I can go to get more information about Al Lillian and his gang? Is there any place outside of New Jersey that I can go to get more information?
Lots of using the con.
Give him.
Yeah, give me more information, please.
Campaigns.
Has been.
Give them some, yes, some information, please. I can give you more alcohol.
Will be refunded.
You'll be refunded. What? What does that mean? So,
You collected.
collected? Okay.
Downstairs.
Downstairs. There's no more downstairs here, guys. Yo, if
Great.
that grave, yo, it feels like there's somebody like who just walked up behind the camera. Like I'm looking at you guys through the lens, but I feel like somebody just stepped straight up and is looking at me. Is there somebody here with me?
Flying.
Things are flying. I mentioned digging and things.
Seafood.
I mentioned digging and looking for bodies and things started getting creepy.
Wouldn't be Catholic.
Wouldn't be Catholic? Are there people up here who were buried without a proper Catholic burial?
Come back to the.
Come back to where? Where should I come back to? Oop, camera started to go. What the fuck was that? Yo, I turned that around because it looked like somebody stepped behind the camera, and I would have heard somebody walk up to me for sure. You can hear the crunching leaves. And then the camera just started going over. Could have been the wind. It's a little top heavy. I have my light tripod with me, so I don't want to say that was definitely paranormal, but it was strange.
You see something?
I just don't know how to explain this to you guys, but it just feels like I'm being surrounded. Okay, if you guys are here, again, I can see, feel, and hear you, but I am just looking for, I have an audience here who wants to speak with you and have an interaction. So the more you say out loud or the better you figure out how to work this, the better. Have you ever had anybody come up here and try to talk to you before? Besides me?
To say that.
All right, it's time for me to say goodbye. Can you guys say goodbye? Can you say toodaloo, adios, goodbye? No? Okay, fair enough. All right, we are back on the street in Atlantic Highlands. This is literally right down the road, once again, from Alexander Lillian's hideout. It's right up there. You can see the tower in the distance if you're standing here with me, or maybe if I had a better camera, but I don't, so you're just gonna have to take my word for it. It took about a minute and a half for me to get down from the tower to here driving. One of the really interesting things that happened while I was doing research for this and putting the video together is that I found out at the end of editing the first video, which this is a part of, that the police may have had more to do with the murder of Alexander Lillian than was originally let on. So I'm gonna let you in on what that might be in the beginning of the next video. And it's gonna lead us right back to this street and to these buildings. And I'm gonna tell you about some hijacking, high thievery craziness that happened right here on this street where a gun battle happened. Yeah, this is gonna get crazy. If this isn't one of the coolest settings for any kind of film in the world, if this isn't one of the coolest settings for any kind of heist in the world, I don't know what is. We have Manhattan behind us, the New York Harbor, and I'm standing in New Jersey. This is where the bootlegging operation really came to life. There were men down here during the night smuggling their beer, their wine, their booze from the water to the shores, and tons of cold, hard cash. I can imagine the boats pulling up here at nighttime when it's dark, there's not as much light, and there's just rowboats full of alcohol and men who are ready to get rich. This is the Violent Coast.